I'm about to show you probably the most brilliant game of chess you've ever seen. And I have covered a lot of chess on this channel. So, pick your favorite. The knight developed to d7. And here, modern day computers, they like to take now. And now the thing is, this might look like some of you watching this go, wait a minute, what about the move e5? You're completely correct. Yes, that is definitely a consideration. That is what Tal played. The knight is hanging, and so is the rook. But that seems pretty stupid, because black just plays bishop to b7. So now your queen is hanging, and you're gonna lose this pawn. Well, Mikhail Tal took the knight. He completely sacrificed the queen. Just gave away the queen. Black took. He took with the bishop. Now black has a hanging rook for nothing. And a hanging bishop. Right? So, here, the best move for black is to lose the rook. It's to lose the rook. Modern day analysis has shown you should take, and actually, the next move that black can play is a little bit too weakening, okay? So black played in this game the move d5. And the point of d5 was that now the queen attacks this pawn. It's a very nice idea. If you take the bishop, I take this, and I win back the bishop, which is extremely important, and then I'm going to win back a pawn, and then you will simply lose. So d5 was played. What was then not expected is Tal's next move. Looks like you have a nice position. White doesn't have anything better than to take with his pawn. Well, after sacrificing his queen, Tal sacrificed his knight. Knight takes e6, kicking down the center of the black position, attacking the queen, attacking the pawn, defending against the counterattack, and threatening the second knight to bulldoze into the position. Black has only one move not to lose. You do not have an opportunity to do anything else. You have to take the knight. This move, this series of moves, are known as Tal sacrifices. Mikhail Tal famously said that there are two types of sacrifices. Correct ones, and his own. I might be paraphrasing. Could be three types, good ones, bad ones, and my own. He fits into his own category. Alright? Knight takes e6. Pawn takes e6. Bishop h5 check. How can it be that two bishops attacking a king are causing so many problems in the black position that it is literally equal? Well, here black played g6. This is the best move. Giving up a pawn with a check. But the difference is that the king now can run there. That is extremely important, because after you play bishop takes g6, and king to f8, and pawn takes e7, the black king gets to g7, and there is nothing to be afraid of anymore. That is why you needed to play the move g6, so the king could run to g7. Okay, self-explanatory. g6 takes, here takes, king g7. Folks, look at this position. Black is only up 1 point of material. Just one. But he has an extra queen. White has two bishops, and for the moment, I guess 2 extra pawns. He has 7 pawns to just 5. But one is under attack, and this one is not a particularly strong asset, and the bishop is just straight up hanging, by the way. But this next move is really the most incredible part of this entire combination. In chess, you can defend against the threat in multiple ways. You can see the threat and defend the piece with a pawn, by moving the piece, getting the piece out of danger. You can also do what's called danger levels, what I like to call danger levels, which is creating a threat of equal or exceeding nature. And then there is a third category, by far the most advanced category of threat recognition. I'm not even sure this has a name. We can just call this Tal style. Bishop to g3. Tactically defending the bishop on g6 because if the king were to take it, pawn to f5 would be a check, and the queen would be hanging. But the thing about the move bishop g3 is, unlike lower-rated players who play hope chess, if they take on g6, I play f5. No, bishop g3 is also the best move, because it stops the queen from getting to that square, and f5 actually becomes a threat, because without these two pawns, black is going to get absolutely obliterated in this position. So you cannot take the bishop. What do? You play knight to f6, which is a mistake. Instead, black should have maybe played b4 and attacked the knight. But knight to f6 is on the board, and Tal plays rook e1, threatening the pawn on e6, then the pawn on d5, and then f5 is coming. He leaves the bishop hanging once again. Koblenz plays b4, which proves to be a very bad mistake if white plays the move f5 here. The thing about f5, though, is that it would allow the queen to take the pawn, and I have this feeling that if two moves both look good, Mikhail Tal will always play the one that looks more strange. It's like the Joker in Batman says, whatever kills you only makes you stranger. In this position, Tal played rook takes e6, sacrificing another horse. He has now sacrificed a queen and both of her stallions. Queen on f3 is gone, knight on e6 is gone, the knight on c3 can be absolutely taken. What makes all of this possible is the fact that in all of this, Tal always keeps his king safe. He always keeps the king safe. Always. Black doesn't have a way to attack the king. He can take the pawn, he can even go here, but the king is always safe. Black takes. Now we play the move we've been wanting to play all along, pawn to f5, attacking the queen. We already know, if cb2, king b1. The king will hide behind the pawn, using it like a shield, like an umbrella pawn. Using it like an umbrella from the rain. And here on the 22nd move of the game, Koblenz went queen b7. Which, as we see, is a mistake. White can now win by either taking this pawn or pushing. Both are good. Tal decides, I'm gonna push. Now white's idea is bishop to e5. And after that, white will simply be winning the game because the king is totally stuck. Maybe you gotta run away. Maybe that's the best move. Black goes queen d7. Now, the idea of queen d7 is really, really nasty, actually. Queen d7 is designed to take the rook. Take and win the bishop. That's a lot, but white doesn't have a lot of pieces left. So you gotta defend it. You gotta defend it somehow. How do you defend it? You can't defend it. If you go here, it gives black just enough time to blockade you completely. And then if you play bishop e5, well, then I'm taking, and guess what? You've lost the game. You've ran out of ammunition. So queen d7 is played. The threat is queen e6 takes king g6. What is Tal gonna do? Well, obviously, what he's going to do in every single game that he plays, he's gonna sacrifice both of those pieces. He gives them both of them. Bishop e5. Bishop e5 looks like a beginner's mistake. It looks like you brought in these pieces to attack f6, and you simply forgot that the queen could take. Pawn takes e6, you're losing the bishop. Yes, but Tal saw rook f1. The idea of rook f1 is the knight is hanging. You can't move the knight, because if you move the knight, I take the rook. For example, and you can't defend it because I would take the rook like that. So let's say if you move the knight here, the idea is very simple for white to win. Bishop takes, rook f8. The pawn shields the rook, and white promotes and wins. Well, that seems pretty straightforward, right? You just need the rook to get to f8. The game is over. No. What? So it's not over. I can't take and go rook f8 anymore. Then why is it +5? That doesn't make sense. The knight is covering the promotion square. The whole idea was to go here. That's because Mikhail Tal brings his enemies to a forest where 2 + 2 is 5, and the path out is only good enough for 1. Bishop takes rook, rook takes bishop, and the entire thing that you were trying to prevent, Mikhail Tal sacrifices the rook. You cannot take the rook with the knight because I will promote the pawn. But if you take the rook with the rook, all MIKHAIL Ta needs to do is just have one pawn remaining. And he plays e7, king f7. He takes the knight, and he simply plays king to d1. And in this position, Black resigned. He resigned because he's losing the king and pawn endgame, and White will simply walk up and take as many pawns as he wants, and he will go on to win by promoting the pawns into queens. Folks, the position after some 10 moves looked like this. First, Tal sacrificed his queen. A few moves later, he sacrificed his knight. A few moves later, he sacrificed his other knight. A few moves later, he then proceeded to give up the rook and the bishop because he realized that at the end, he would sacrifice his remaining rook. Sacrifice is a strong word. And he just needed one pawn. We will never, ever have the honor and the privilege to witness chess like this again. Ever. We see breathtaking sacrifices, incredible attacking chess, masterful positional games of all top players, squeezes by Magnus Carlsen, defensive tenacity from Hikaru Nakamura, creative and imaginative play from guys like Rapport and many, many other grandmasters in the modern era. But there is only one.